At its core, barely racing is a lot of fun. A bit simple, but that's not a bad thing, as it is more of a party game than anything else. The game is a bit more of an arcade racing game, at least that's my feeling of it. There are 4 that compete at a time over 3 laps. You can shoot, boost in the game. There are also mines and rockets. As you drive, you will also find refill for ammo, you can find HP and more. The boost will also gradually replenish as you drive. The game has a lot more game modes than just racing for the multiplayer part of the game, closer to what Mario Kart usually have, but we'll get back to the multiplayer part of the game later. The driving part of the game feels perfect. I love how the cars handle and how they slide around the corners. It feels great. And the game is easy for anyone to pick up and play, which is perfect. My biggest problem in the game is the items that you can pick up around the map. If you're in first place, you get all the items, as it is only one item that spawns. If you're way behind, there will be items that spawn, but if all the players are close, the first place holder will get nearly all the items, making it too easy to keep the first place. I would have loved for a more Mario Kart-like system, where there are multiple items in a row, so more players can get them. Yeah, the maps are quite narrow in the game, so maybe limited to one item per car per line of items. I think that would lead to a more even playing field. Before we start talking about the single player component of the game, I just want to say that the game, at least as I see it, is made for multiplayer, local or online. This would be a perfect party game at a gaming bar with some friends as you play a bunch of games. The game has a single player campaign, so I'm gonna judge it for what it is, then I will loop back to talk a bit more about the multiplayer and what the game includes. Okay, so for the single player campaign, it's very light on the story. Sometime long ago, there was a nuclear war, the world changed, and here you are racing. There are a few characters with different motivations, but it all plays out in a few lines of dialogue here and there. We are, however, not here for the story. The gameplay is what we're playing this for. What immediately jumps out at me is the structure of the single player campaign. It's a bit weird because it's split into 3 cups that you can play over and over to get money and buy cars. The cars can be upgraded, painted, and before racing you can equip them with boosts, mines and ammo. So far, totally fine. The structure of the single player cups is the weird part. You choose to play one of the cups. In the beginning you will be forced to play the first one. Each cup takes place over a specific number of races. In the second cup you have to complete 15 races, and during these races you have to gather 30 points to win the cup. There is no real leaderboard or scoreboard. There is also no account for you getting more points than the 30 you need, so you only have to gather 30 points within the 15 races. That's all that matters, and then you get the money for winning the cup. I find this structure a bit lazy, and I would have loved for a more competitive structure of this, where you actually compete against AIs. When you play one of these races in the cup, you get to choose between 3 random maps. The map seems to be presented randomly, as you can get the same map multiple times. I'm not a fan of this structure either. I started playing on the medium difficulty as well, and it's way too easy in the single player. The unfortunate thing here is that the difficulty is locked to the save slot you have. So if you want to try a harder difficulty, you have to create a new save slot. I realized this halfway through and didn't really want to do half the campaign over again, as it is kind of a grind and the maps get repetitive over time. So I haven't really tried out the harder difficulty of the AI. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's nice that the game has a single player component. I would have loved for it to be a bit more fleshed out. I want more of everything. More cars, more weapons, events that happen, other types of races, not just 3 laps around the tracks. But as I mentioned in the beginning, this is a multiplayer game. You should only buy this if you want to play this with friends, in my opinion. The game doesn't have any servers and only works peer-to-peer. The game also supports split screen and remote play together, which is great to see. And I mean, with remote play together, not everyone has to buy the game either. One buy it and then you can all play. And for the multiplayer, you have a lot more game modes to choose from. You can of course race, then you have mine tag, flag chase, football and deathmatch. There are a lot of options for each game mode, which is nice to see. No bots, however, which is unfortunate. And of course, all of these can be played split screen as well, with up to 4 people. Outside of the multiplayer, you also have free ride, where you can race any car on any track. And there's also hot laps and a leaderboard for the hot laps, which is kind of cool to see. The maps in the game have a good variety in their environments. There are 3 areas or biomes to race in: the junkyard, the district and the jungle. I think 3 is on the lower side. I would have loved to see a few more, and some environmental hazards to make the maps a bit more unique. But with the other game modes in the multiplayer, I don't think you will notice it. Just in the single player you will notice it quite well, with the maps being repeated so frequently. I cannot recommend the game if you're gonna play it alone. With friends, however, this is a perfect party game and you will have a lot of fun. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Bye.